Hello, welcome to Shelf Defiant. Apologies for my audio issues. Mics won't stay connected, yada yada. Alright, so I am your disembodied narrator. We are continuing with Jurgen. We're heading into chapter 11, Appearance of the Duke of Logreus. And that's just how I'm going to pronounce it. My apologies to anyone who knows the correct pronunciation. Feel free to give me the phonetic correct pronunciation in the comments. Okay, and then last we left Jurgen, he had just bested the Troll King. What was his name again? Thrasher, Thrigan, Throngen. I don't remember what. Thragnar, there it is. Okay, it wasn't even close. All right, so let's continue. Oh, and this, of course, brought to us by the amazing people at Project Gutenberg. Thank you for making public domain books available. So Jurgen brushed from the table the chessmen that were set there in readiness for a game, and he emptied the silver flagons upon the ground. His reasons for not meddling with the horn he explained to the princess. She shivered and said that, such being the case, he was certainly very sensible. Then they mounted and departed from the black and silver pavilion. They came thus without further adventure to Gogriven, city of Camelard. All right, well, my apologies. Now there was shouting and the bells all rang when the people knew their princess was returned to them. The houses were hung with painted cloths and banners, and trumpets sounded as Guinevere and Jurgen came to the king in his hall of judgment. And this Gargriven, that was king of Glathian and lord of Ensgarth and Camwy and Sargol, came down from his wide throne, and he embraced first Guinevere, then Jurgen. Any demand of me that you will, I'm sorry, and demand of me what you will, Duke of Logreus, said Gorgriven, when he had heard the champion's name, and it is yours for the asking, for you have restored me the best loved daughter that ever was the pride of a high king. Sir, replied Jurgen reasonably, a service rendered so gladly should be its own reward. So I'm asking that you do in turn restore me to the Princess Guinevere in honorable marriage. Do you understand? Or do understand. No, it is do you understand? Because I am a poor, lorn widower. I am tolerably certain, but I am quite certain I love your daughter with my whole heart. Thus Jurgen, whose periods were confused by emotion. Well, and he seemed to have given up on his beloved wife rather quickly. I do not see what the condition of your heart has to do with any such unreasonable request, and you have no good sense to be asking this thing of me, when here are the servants of Arthur, that is now king of the Britons, came to ask for my daughter as his wife. That you are Duke of Logreus, you tell me, and I concede a duke is all very well, but I expect you in return to concede a king takes precedence with any man whose daughter is marriageable. But tomorrow or the next day, it may be, you and I will talk over your reward more privately. Meanwhile, it is very queer and very frightening you are looking to be the champion who conquered Thragnar. For Jurgen was staring at the great mirror behind the king's throne. In this mirror, Jurgen saw the back of Gogriven's crowned head, and beyond this, Jurgen saw a queer and frightened looking young fellow with sleek black hair and an impudent nose, and wide open bright brown eyes which were staring hard at Jurgen. And the lad's very red and very heavy lips were parted, so that you saw what fine strong teeth he had, and he wore a glittering shirt with curious figures on it. I was thinking, says Jurgen, and he saw the lad in the mirror was speaking too. I was thinking that is a reasonable mirror you have there. It is like any other mirror, replies the king, in that it shows things as they are. But if you fancy it as your reward, why, take it and welcome. And are you still talking of rewards? Cries Jurgen. Why, if that mirror shows things as they are, I have come out of my borrowed Wednesday still 21. Oh, but it was the clever fellow I was, to flatter Mother Sareda so cunningly, and to fool her into such generosity. And I wonder, that you who are only a king, with bleared eyes under your crown, and with a droopy belly under all your royal robes, should be talking of rewarding a fine young fellow of 21, for there is nothing you have which I need be wanting now. Then you will not be plaguing me any more with your nonsense about my daughter, and that is excellent news. But I have no requirement to be asking your good graces now, said Jurgen, nor the goodwill of any man alive that has a handsome daughter or a handsome wife. For now I have the aid of a lad that was very recently made Duke of Logreus, and with his countenance I can look out for myself, and I can get justice done me everywhere, in all the bedchambers of the world. All right, a little hoity-toity there. And Jurgen snapped his fingers and was about to turn away from the king. There was such sunlight in the hall, so that Jurgen in this half-turn confronted his shadow as it lay playing upon the flagstones, and Jurgen looked at it very intently. Of course, said Jurgen presently, I only meant in a manner of speaking, sir, and was paraphrasing the splendid, if hackneyed passage from Sonetius, with which you are doubtless familiar, in which he goes on to say, so much more beautifully than I could possibly express without quoting him word for word, that all this was spoken jestingly and without the least intention of offending anybody. Oh, anybody whatever, I can assure you, sir. Very well, said Gorgavengoire, and he smiled, for no reason that was apparent to Jurgen, who was still watching his shadow sidewise. Tomorrow, I repeat, I must talk with you more privately. Today I am giving a banquet such as was never known in these parts, because my daughter is restored to me, because my daughter is going to be queen over all the Britons. Excuse me, Britons. So said Gorgaven, that was king of Glathian, and lord of Ennisgarth, and Camwy, and Sargol. This was done. And everywhere at the banquet Jurgen heard talk of this King Arthur who was to marry Dame Guinevere, and of the prophecy which Merlin Ambrosius had made as to the young monarch, for Merlin had predicted, he shall afford succor and shall tread upon the necks of his enemies, or succor. He shall afford succor, and shall tread upon the necks of his enemies. The isles of the ocean shall be subdued by him, and he shall possess the forests of Gaul. The house of Romulus shall fear his rage, and his axe shall be food for the narrators. Why then, says Jurgen to himself, this monarch reminds me in all things of David of Israel, who was so splendid and famous and so greedy in the ancient ages. For to these forests and islands and necks and other possessions, this Arthur Pendragon must be adding my own ewe lamb, and I lack a Nathan to convert him to repentance. Now, but this, to be sure, is a very unfair thing. Then Jurgen looked again into a mirror, and presently the eyes of the lad he found therein began to twinkle. How about you, David? Said Jurgen valorously, since after all, I see no reason to despair. Uh-huh. All right, well, that's the end of chapter 11. So I guess it's good that he is no longer looking to be Guinevere's husband. All right, well, I'm enjoying the turning everything on its head, getting me to question what exactly Cabell is talking about, or Cabell. I'm enjoying the story. Very episodic. Let me know what you think. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.